Yeah, I know I can't play this too long. Hey, y'all. Because we don't want Facebook to close us out. What about your friends? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. Now, y'all know I always tell you what coffee mug I'm using because y'all know I collect coffee mugs. I brought this mug on tonight because one of my guests gave me this when we were in Cancun. It is the state of Ohio with the heart, and it says the amazing T Street. Oh, yeah, don't play. Y'all know I like being branded. So my guests are here. I'm excited. We're going to talk about sisterhood, y'all. This is Women's History Month. And all throughout the month, we've been celebrating sisterhood. And so I wanted to close out Women's History Month by bringing on just a few of my girls, my sisters, the people that I consider my rocks, the people that I go to and that I hold down and that they hold me down. And so we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to ask some crazy questions. Y'all going to get a better insight into me and my girls. And so you'll understand what makes me tick based on who they all are. All right. So we're going to have some fun. My guests tonight are Dr. Dion Blue. You see her up in the corner. Dion, I'll let her tell you who she is when we unmute everybody and all of that. But y'all gonna love her. I call her my special because she's my special daughter. My girl Tracy Colson, who is my soror and my friend, my co-chair. We call each other co-chair. My friend and car therapist. Y'all hear me talk about it. She's on every week. She comes on and supports my show every week. And I call her my car therapist, Stephanie K. Starks of Starks Counseling. We're going to have a good time. Y'all ready?
Yes.
All right, y'all can unmute because we can talk over each other. This is girlfriend chat. Y'all know it is not unusual for us all to talk over each other because that's kind of what sisters do when they all get together. So my first question tonight is, if you had to define sisterhood in just one word, what word would you choose? Who going first?
Me, you already know, T, loyalty.
There it is, loyalty. She got loyalty. What you got, D?
For me, the word is home.
Okay, loyalty, home. What you got, Co-Chair?
Unity.
Unity. U-N-I-T-Y.
Gotta let them know.
U-N-I-T-Y. This is unity. Hey, wait a minute. I could have had a song for all of us. I could have sang, "This ain't loyal." I could have had that. And then I could have said, "When I think of home, I think." So I tell you, we're gonna have some fun tonight. I chose this show in honor of Women's History Month. How does your understanding of women's history shape how you choose to walk out sisterhood in your daily life? What you know about women's history, how does that impact how you walk out sisterhood? That's a good question, ain't it?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is, I never thought about it in that way, but we are representation of all the women that have gone before us. Ones we're blood related to, ones we're not. And so just thinking about the things that women have gone through and have accomplished over the generations and knowing that we represent that. And so I think for me, what does it mean to be a good representation of that history? And I think about sisterhood that way is I want to be a good sister because that's been paid forward to me.
Okay.
I like it.
I like it. What you got, Steph? What you got, Tracy?
I don't take for granted where I'm at in my life as it relates to my career. I know that women have paid it forward for me to be where I am. And so I'm always mindful and conscious of how I walk in that space in the work that I do, because somebody paved the way for me to be able to do the work that I'm doing at the level that I'm doing it at. So I always am mindful of that every day. And I constantly remind my students of that, and especially my female students. I've been really highlighting Women's History Month and what it means.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm. So for me, Women's History Month is really a time to reflect and celebrate the accomplishments of women, past, present, and even looking at where we're moving forward. And I feel like for me, every day I'm trying to celebrate and acknowledge the accomplishments of all of us as women. And I do it in small ways and big ways. I try to I'm always trying to support, female-owned businesses and entrepreneurs, and support events that are put on by women, support organizations that are were created by women for women.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I appreciate that, because for me, I just think that it's, as a historian, I tell people all the time, I'm severely impacted by history, and I know that it informs so much of who I am. And as I think about like the historical women in my own life, I think about my mom and my grandmother, but of course I think, hang on for a second. I've got one of the guests who was, by the way, one of my guests is going to pop in because she was down in Memphis with tornado sirens huddled in a closet. And so she just texted me and said she's trying to come in. And so I'm telling her how to get in. So in my own life, I had amazing women like Audrey Lorde, to know Audrey Lorde personally, and to be able to be, to eat from that table. And then my mom and my grandmother and the great lineage. But I also know that I've been the beneficiary contemporarily of some amazing women in my own life who, and I consider us as women, all the women on this screen, certainly women who are making history. I always remind us, history is not just what we read. History is what we make. We've been making history since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And so for me, y'all are part of my history now, and the legacy that I hope to leave my grandchildren, and all of you all are a part of that. And so for me, that's where that rests. What are some of the challenges to women practicing sisterhood, and how have you navigated those pitfalls? Because there are certainly some challenges.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I would say growing up being the only girl with all brothers, and having a group. I feel I have a great core nucleus of sisters that I consider like my extended family. But some of the pitfalls and challenges that I have experienced is when someone I feel has violated my trust. It is very difficult for me to come back from that. And I've been trying to work on that forgiveness piece.
Yes.
And then allowing you to come back into my space. And that trust has been a huge challenge from me, because when we have the conversation, you have that girlfriend conversation about it. But then also I'm not good about having the conversation, because I also believe like once you show me who you are, I believe you. So then I'm just going to step back from it. And so that trust has been a huge challenge for me as it relates to that pitfall in sisterhood, in someone breaking that trust or doing something that I felt broke that bond in that relationship.
Everybody else, what y'all got? What's been the barriers? What's the barriers that keeps us, that makes it hard to walk out sisterhood?
So one of the barriers for me is that I think we sometimes a lot of times we get in our own way. So I'll give you an example. There's so much work out here as a therapist. I don't feel the need to compete with other African-American female therapists for clients. There's just too many people out here who, need help. And luckily in my space, in the social work therapist space, I haven't felt like I was competing with other women. But you could look at it from your friend group or family of females, or even in some of our sororities or other social groups. I think we get in our way sometimes by unnecessarily competing with each other, as opposed to allowing everyone to operate within their gifts and be who they are.
Anybody else? And then I'm going to introduce our guest that just popped in. I already told them that you were waiting for tornadoes to pass. Anybody else who didn't answer that question? Was that you, Dee, that didn't answer?
Yeah, I'll go. I didn't know if you wanted to introduce Harriet first, but I think mine maps on to what Stephanie said. I 100% agree with what Tracy said on a personal level, but I think at a larger level, the competition piece is something that generally I think can hurt sisterhood, because the other piece we have to think about as a challenge for us is, as women, we're almost socialized to see one another as competition, whether that's for romantic partners or for jobs or for, any kind of social status. And so, and kind of looking at each other against certain mainstream standards, whether that's about beauty or about where we should be in our lives. And so just the whole idea of having to say that a real queen will fix the crown of another instead of tearing her down. And I think that's the kind of behavior in general that will make women less inclined to connect with each other.
Yes, come on now.
Okay, so I'm going to pause really quickly and introduce my guest, Harriet Turk. Harriet, I'm going to go back and let you answer the first couple of questions. The question we were just answering was the one that I asked about what are some of the challenges to women practicing sisterhood. But the first question that I asked is, if you had to define sisterhood in one word, what word would you use?
And the first word that came to my mind was unity. So
that's funny because Tracy used unity too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you guys are on the same wavelength. And for everybody who doesn't know, because I kind of gave an introduction about who these folks were, Harriet is my good friend and fellow speaker. And I tell everybody, Harriet is the reason when y'all see me traveling and I'm on, Harriet is the person who put me on, which is why I'm going to go back to what Tracy and you guys talked about folks being, and Stephanie really talked about this, about the whole competition piece that amongst women. So I'm going to go back after I ask her that. I told them that I chose this show for Women's History Month, and how does your understanding of history impact how you walk in the world and practice sisterhood, Harriet?
I think one of the things for me is that when I go back and really think about women's history, and I used to read tons and tons of biographies about women, it's like they were just fighters and they didn't give up. And I think so many times we just give up when things are hard. And I go back to, 5th grade when we learned about Harriet Tubman. That was the greatest year of my life because she spelled her name like me. And, it was just, I couldn't get enough of reading about her, especially because she wanted to be free. And that's one thing that I kind of carried with me, was that to help everybody be free and live a cool life. So,
okay. And Harriet, just so you know, she didn't make that up for this thing. She always tells me a story of like she loved Harriet, because most people who spell their name Harriet, they have 2 T's.
Exactly.
Harriet Tubman only used 1 T, and she only uses 1 T. Okay. And so the question that we just asked was, what are some of the challenges to women practicing sisterhood, and how have you navigated those pitfalls?
I'm not sure I do all the time because I know with my schedule and traveling, I don't feel like I have a great community in the city where I live. I think I had more of a community when I didn't have children, or we all had children the same age. And then when they start school and activities and they go in different paths, it's hard to stay connected. So that's been one of the big things for me, is just connection with other women, or like if we're going through life struggles and you can't really relate to what somebody else is going through, it's hard. So I think it's always a challenge. But then the whole thing about, I got in on the very last second talking about the struggles with women being competition. That has always been a big deal with me. It's like I've never understood that. Mm-hmm. So I've always thought that we're all just supposed to help each other. So
I feel the same way. My mom always told me, what is for you is for you. Mm-hmm. So I've just grown up feeling like I didn't have to compete with anybody other than myself, because what was for me was for me.
Yeah.
Same. What's interesting to me though is lots of times if you're in the marketplace, and all of us we're all in different marketplaces. Stephanie, you said you experience it as people like feel some type of way in territorial. I know that when, so my friend Javier introduced me and Harriet, and he couldn't believe we hadn't met. But I had met Harriet; she just didn't know it because we invited her as a speaker many years ago when I was running Teen Institute. She was a speaker for us, but she was always one of those people. When you're trying to do this work, you're like, there are not very many of us in the youth speaking market, and so I was like, I sweated Harriet forever. So when I got the introduction, man, I thought I was balling out of control just to meet her. And I remember the first phone call being on the phone. But I remember when I got the call to go to do a speaker showcase that she asked me to do because she said, you need more exposure. And so the travel that I get to do now is because Harriet put me on. She could very easily have just kept the market to herself for women, but she didn't do that. In fact, she started a group called Wonderful Women Speakers of all of us coming together to support and promote the few of us that were out there, because we had to deal with all the cute white boys and then all the handsome black boys because they're popular in the kid crowd because they're male.
Yep.
They're popular with men and women. So that competition piece. I think I'm going to answer a couple of these myself. The word that I use to define sisterhood is connectedness. I already told you my women's history answer, and the challenges that I find center around, Tracy said it and Stephanie said it, the notion of once you breach loyalty, it's really hard for me to come back from that. I remember growing up, I asked my mom, as you're building friendships, and she had very few. She had a small circle of friends. She said, if you got too many friends, I worry about you because it says you're not a good discerner of people because everybody can be in your friendship circle. They can be in your associateship and not your friendship. And she also said, I asked her, what's the number one quality you look for in friends? And she said, loyalty. I thought she was going to say honesty because she always said, I hate a liar. And I was like, Mom, not honesty. She said, if you're loyal to me, you're not going to lie to me. You can lie to the whole world, but you're not lying to me. You can steal from somebody, but I know if you're loyal to me, you're not stealing from me. Yeah. That loyalty assumes it all. I'm like, yes. So the experiences that I've had have been around lack of loyalty, me giving it and not receiving it. And for me, I'm like you, Stephanie. I'm a supporter of women. Most people know that. I'm always trying to put people on. And so when I find people trying to block, it's kind of foreign to me. I'm like, what?
It's so weird.
All eat.
So weird.
All of us can eat. There's enough business out here. There are so many kids in the world. We can all eat. So that's not going away. What are the characteristics that you seek when choosing women to be a part of your sisterhood circle? And I know, other than loyalty, Stephanie.
Because listen, I'm gonna be.
What are the characteristics you're looking for?
I can throw something out there because I think for me, and probably you all are similar. I don't necessarily choose people in that sense. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna put out applications for friends, but
say that.
You know what I mean? But I think it's the energy of people that I naturally gravitate towards, and some people I immediately connect to. Some people it takes a minute, but something keeps drawing it back to where you feel like, okay, there's something here. So to your mom's point about discernment, some of it is that. Now there are people who are in my life who did specifically choose me, but sometimes those folks fall by the wayside. I don't have the same investment in them all the time. So so when I think,
I know, don't you appreciate her being honest? That is so real.
So so I think I just kind of play it out like that, and I'm very observant. And so if things start to not feel right, then I just start to inch away, kind of similar to what Tracy said earlier.
Okay. What else? What do you guys look for when the folks are not the real application, but when people are trying to get close to you? What are the characteristics that you look for?
I think for me, I'm pretty much like, I welcome everybody in the beginning, and then I really kind of start to watch you. It's like, I'm not going to reject you immediately, but I'm also going to watch to make sure that you are who you say. One of the things that, is real big for me is, walking your talk. So it's like, if you are not the same person that you tell me you are, then I'm just going to kind of move away. There's too much crazy in my life as there is. So.
That's a word.
See, I'm the opposite of you, Harriet. I don't let people in my space or my circle I sit back and watch how you operate and move in a room, and I observe it for a while before I let people get into my space, because I feel like my space is sacred, and I can't add people in my space that is going to add additional stress or drama to my life that I probably already deal with when it comes to the workspace and all of that. And so I kind of watch people how they move in their own space, in their own circles, and see how they navigate other arenas before I kind of let my guard down to let them into my space. Because I just feel like I'm consistent with my personality no matter where I'm at, family, work, church, home. Tracy, who you see is what you get. And a lot of times for people, what you see is not what you get, depending on their settings and their environment and who's around. And so I sit back and watch how people move to see if I really want you to be a part of my space and circle.
I wish I was more like that. I don't know what the deal is. I think some of it is, honestly, that I have been judged frequently, especially growing up, that I was a snobby person when really I was just really quiet and insecure, or or people just didn't really figure out who I was. And so to me, it was like, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not this snobby person. Sorry, my cat will not leave me alone. And so I just welcome people, but that also gets me in trouble. So I get, as one of my best friends told me one time, until the machete is in my back, I don't believe that someone's trying to hurt me.
Ooh. Wow. So let me share just comments. By the way, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. I always share them. Anita, Mama Anita, Lady Flo over Dawson, Overflow Dawson said, "Wow." Shauna Gibbs said, "The whole crew is fire." Anita said, "It's all about connections. What are you bringing to the table?" Keith said, Keith Adams, Tracy said, "Yeah, I'm like Colson. I don't have time to let people in and then take them back out." We got folks on YouTube as well. Lisa S says, "Hello, sisters." And Val says, "Hello, ladies." So, by the way, if you're watching, I just put in the chat of both platforms a jot form link. I have a giveaway today. I'm going to give away a gold $90 ticket, courtesy of one of my sorors who donated a $90 ticket. If you're in Columbus, to the HBCU Classic. It's a good ticket. That means it's a good seat. So if you are trying to win this ticket, you got to go on and fill out the jot form. It'll go at the end of the show. We'll give away that $90 ticket to the HBCU Classic, the gold seat. That's a good seat. Right? I'm just telling you.
I like it.
So if you're trying to win, you need to go in and click on the jot form and put your information in. And at the end of the show, we're going to give away that ticket. And so shout out to Gwen who donated that ticket. All right, next question, y'all. Come on, let's bring some fun. Let's bring some fire. You already kind of answered that question. So I'm going to ask this. That's funny that you had that, Anita, because the question I have, what do you bring to the table of sisterhood, and what have you gained from being at the table of sisterhood?
So I bring honesty.
Good questions.
Yes, I bring honesty, loyalty, compassion, and love. That's what I bring. And what was part 2 of the question?
And that's what you bring to the table. What have you gained from the table of sisterhood?
Oh, man. So because with time and age and wisdom, I've learned to be more selective and discerning about people who I allow in my inner circle. I've gained so much. I have a beautiful circle of close friends, acquaintances, and I've gained a lot of knowledge, experience. I have gained unfiltered truth, which I value greatly. You cannot be a real friend to somebody if you only tell them what they want to hear. That's not what I'm looking for in my life.
Yes.
On me and T's little long drives. Sometimes we have tough conversations, and I'll be over there pouting like a little kid, like I don't care.
And I'm on the other side counting when it's my
turn. I
turn.
don't care about that, T. But I don't care about that, T. She like, but you got to care about it. So the people that I have in my circle, they're going to be honest with me. They're going to do it in love, but they're not going to let me be out here looking crazy or not representing myself well or not maximizing on opportunities because I'm getting in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
Tia on YouTube says this is a good topic. You have some dynamic women on here. I agree, Tia. I agree. Some dynamic women because of course I track dynamic women in my life. I'm just saying.
That's it.
All right, what you bringing, Dion? What you bringing and what you getting off the table?
Okay, so I would say what I'm bringing to the table, similar to what Stephanie said, definitely honesty. I bring my full self when I'm really like, if you're a sister for real, so everything that I have, I would give to someone, you know what I mean? So I think I bring that generosity in terms of like spirit, just who I am, just being a really open and giving person. I also bring just the element of, I would say nurturing a bit in terms of wanting to help my sisters grow. And I don't know if nurturing is really the right word, but that's what I kind of, to the point that you made in terms of T and Stephanie on those long drives, is I want to help the people that I love in my life to get better, and I want that from them as well. And so I think that's something that I bring to the table, is the desire to see people I care about be better. And what I've gained is just learning more about myself, being more open. I think I also bring a non-judgmental spirit, so I encourage people to be themselves because I also want to be able to do that. So reciprocity, I think, is really important to me.
Come on, reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't that my song, Stephanie?
Yep.
Who else? Who has gone?
I think for me, I bring a curious mind, meaning like I want to get to know why you think the way you do. And if it's different for me, then why, or if we're alike, then awesome. And I've been told by people that I walk a thin line between what I believe and what I will accept from other people. So it's like I don't change who I am, but at the same time, I'm all curious, like, why do you think that way? So I think maybe safety is one thing that I bring, acceptance.
I like that.
Yeah. Wow, this is a loaded question, co-chair.
Wait a minute, Harriet, what do you take off the table of sisterhood?
What do I take off? I take off. I don't know. The words that keep coming to my brain, or my brain works faster than my mouth. It's just like warmth, or just connection, or just like I just want to be around all these different people because you make me grow. So
okay.
That's your word, connection.
Being like me, and I grew up with everything being real structured in my life. So the fact that when I went away to college, it was kind of like, woohoo, and I could be around all different kinds of people. And I've never stopped being curious. So,
I always tell kids that the most successful people in the world are people who are curious.
True.
All right, co-chair, what you got?
I bring loyalty and honesty. I don't know how else to be but honest and frank and upfront to people. And if you don't want a loyal and honest friend, you really cannot be in my circle.
Come on, Tracy.
It's not going to always be that lovey-dovey thing, but I am going to be honest and upfront with you. And I will want you to do the same to me, be honest and upfront with me when I'm out of order. And so I bring that to the friends that are genuinely in my circle. And what I gained from that is an extended family that is always going to hold me accountable, help me grow, and be there when I need them as well, in a genuine way with no judgment. I think it's always a safe space when you have a true sister circle.
Same.
+1 on that.
I'm the same way. That resonates with me, Tracy. I ask people when they ask me for advice, I say, now, do you want the truth or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear?
Yes.
Let me know. I could give you either.
Yes.
Look, my sister circle already know. They won't ask unless they really want the unfiltered truth. Although they already know.
I know that's right, Dion.
Yeah.
So, folks who are online, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook Live, drop in the chat. What do you bring to the table of sisterhood? If you're a brother on here, what do you bring to support women? Okay, because there's some men who are on here as well. If you're a man, what do you bring to support? If you're one of the women on here, what do you bring to the table of sisterhood? And if you don't know, you should be asking yourself, because as you see, there is great benefit to being at the table of sisterhood. Me, what I bring is I'm loyal to a fault. Sometimes it gets me in trouble because I'm loyal. I'm that person that when you kill somebody, if you really my person, I'm helping you bury the body. Right or wrong. I'm also the person that when you my people, whether you're wrong or right, I always got your back. And so I might not publicly say to you that you were wrong, but can't nobody else say that you were to me. I'm gonna get you on the side and be like, you wrong is 2 left shoes, right? But I'm also the person who's gonna ride for you. So I'm deeply, deeply loyal like that. But I'm also ignorant. I'm fun and funny. Y'all know I'm silly, and you never want to sit next to me in serious meetings because I'm always the one cracking, and I always got something funny to say about everybody, including myself and y'all. I talk about y'all. I talk about everybody. That's who I am, and it's always at the most inappropriate times because I want folks laughing. So I bring a lot of laughter because comedy is my medicine for my soul. So I try to make it other people's. The things that I've gained the last year and 2 months of my life, I have done a serious inventory of my life. If when my mama died, I didn't hear from you, you are banished. That's real talk.
Come on now, preach.
You at the worst time of my life, you didn't have to show up. Send me a text, send me a note, if I didn't hear from you at all, and now all of a sudden you trying to be in the mix, who you, boo? I'm really clear. That was my litmus test because,
as it should be.
Let me just be clear. I heard from some enemies during my mom's death. And I didn't hear from some folks who called me friend. You now call me ex-friend. But what I've gained from the table is an amazing opportunity to grow. Probably the nicest person in my life in terms of never going to really tell me the whole truth on the screen right now is Harriet. Harriet is nice. She's not going to tell me, T, you wrong. The other 3 of y'all, oh my God. I've been pruned enough.
Yeah, but you give it too.
You figure grow, you gotta get pruned.
Nah, you give it too though. How many times I've been sitting in the car like this?
These are the most honest women that I know. Now, sometimes they do it in love and sometimes they don't. I know it's coming from a place of love because they love me. But let me just tell you, everybody be thinking Dion nice. She got this little way with hers. Dion be cutting you to the quick. Sometimes you don't even know you cutting until you done bled out.
Ooh.
I'm Tracy is that person. Co-chair, you's a mess. That's a hot mess. You out of order. I know when I'm out of order. Stephanie is the person who's gonna tell you out of order, but she's gonna be like, T, I just need to say this. Can I just say this to you? Here's what I observed, and I'm a therapist, but here's what I see. You said this, but this. I'm like, who asked you to talk about my contradictions?
Right.
Harriet is nice. She's that person who like, T, I just want us to get along. I'm not gonna tell you that what you said sucks. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna tell you bomb today. That's nice. But I'm looking online. What are folks saying? Tanya says loyalty. Tanya Martin says loyalty and support. T says honesty, love, and accountability. Yep, that's what all my friends do offer me is accountability. I bring loyalty and honesty. Charles Cia said, I bring loyalty and honesty and laughter. Anita says strength, loyal, accountable, covering. Yes, y'all talk about a spiritual covering. Yes, ma'am. True and peace. And Shauna Gibbs said, I bring laughter. And y'all know that's true.
Yes. Listen.
Yes. You
I
can't.
just told Shauna today, I said, if I could post some of the stuff that you say to me, you say to me on the phone, people would holler.
When she started off with, baby, it's all bad from there. It's all bad from there. So people are on, just so you know, we're asking the question tonight in terms of sisterhood. What do you bring to the table? And then what do you take off the table? My life has been rich. I don't understand women, and I tell people this all the time. You know, there are lots of women in the world who say, I don't trust women, I don't have women friends. I always, immediately, when they say that to me, I always feel sorry for them. My first inclination is to say, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you. Just, y'all hear the people on the screen. You didn't even hear the friends that got invited who couldn't make it on, who are dope like these women. So when people say to me that I'm always shocked. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have women friends? Tell me an experience that you've had with your girlfriend that would be a girls trip kind of experience that you really probably shouldn't be telling. You don't have to tell us all the details. What's one fun thing that you've gotten out of your sisterhood? It don't have to be with people on the screen, just your girlfriends. What's something fun that you have gotten that makes you laugh even when you think about it?
I just like the fact that I have my close circle of friends. If somebody hurts me, they are ready. Do you hear me? With tennis shoes, sweatsuits, Vaseline, what we need. Like, where we going? You know, are we going to do this? You know, are we going to do this the professional way or the hood way? How we going to handle this?
Yes. You get choices and options.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you know, I was thinking, as everybody was talking, I may not, get in your face, but at the same time, if you have something in your teeth or if your clothes don't look right, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to let you walk out there with your underwear showing, So, and like when I was speaking at a conference, Sarah Nillis, and now a good friend, I didn't know her very well, but I knew I wanted to know her. And so I just went up to her and I said, okay, pretend we're friends. Because I wanted her to look at my clothes to tell me if I needed to do something. She goes, I thought we were friends. And so at that point I was like, okay, good. Now that door's open and I can be your friend. And then a girl, Michelle McGrath, who I had to be with her for a week as she hired me to go on a tour to speak. And she was going to be the driver. And I don't usually let that happen. I usually want my own car so I can do my own thing and be quiet when I want to be. But we had absolutely the best week ever because we are so much alike. And now, in fact, I leave Monday to go on a girls trip with them. So it's just, it's weird how relationships can happen just out of the blue. And you find out how deeply connected you are. So,
yeah.
And they live in Wisconsin and Oregon. And I know that if I needed them, they would be with me,
That's good. Come on, Tracy, what y'all got? What's the fun stuff that happens in these sisterhood relationships? We all serious and loyal to trust and cut you and what's fun?
Wow. Let me see what I can share. Jesus. Right. What can I share that's not going to get me in trouble, get them in trouble? I think one fun thing is when you have these girl trips or these girl outings is that you have these conversations about relationships that everybody can resonate with. And you kind of sit back and laugh about these conversations. And I'm going to briefly tell you like a small snippet of a girls trip conversation that I actually just recently had with a group of girlfriends. And we were talking about, how often do you shave? Do you shave your legs? Do you shave your armpits? I mean, and we're in a public setting and people were like, oh, they're like really close because we're talking about the shaving and if you shave, if you have a husband, if you shave, if you have a boyfriend. And it was just like this crazy conversation that just dropped out of the sky about shaving, and I don't even know how we got on this conversation. And then the conversation went to the left that clearly I would not share on this platform.
All right, talk to me.
So I think for me, one of the things is I don't travel with everybody. So a girls trip is only going to have so many different folks on it. But one of the things that I would say is a good sign of a girl's trip for me is that I tend to be thought of sometimes as a serious person, and sometimes I do feel like I'm more serious than I want to be. And so for me, a sign of a good girls trip is when I can be completely silly and not have to care that I'm being silly, or don't have to worry about hearing nobody say, well, you got a PhD, you acting like that type of thing. I just want to act as silly as I want to act. And so there are a couple of my friends that we have similar tastes in like movies and things like that. And so we will, sit up all night long watching a movie that we've seen 1,000 times before, laughing, talking, saying all the lines of the movie, like stuff like that. And just, almost like a moment hasn't passed by. So it's not work to be around them. And so every trip fills my cup because I just get to lay every burden down and just be,
But I think
that's fun and funny.
But I think at the core, like when you talk about sisterhood, it's really having relationships with people who you can be your authentic self with.
Yep.
Like the good, the bad, the ugly, the good times, the sad times. You can cry with them. You could laugh with them. You could crack jokes with them, crack jokes on them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
It is. It's crazy when you start to think about it. I'm looking at all you on the screen. There's not one person on the screen that I haven't traveled with. And all of y'all are crazy. So though Harriet and I didn't travel together, we've twice now been at the same conference. And this is how you know she's a ride or die. 2 years ago, right before COVID, she flew into Reno because I had the main stage that year. And she knew that I was nervous and she came to support me. This year, her speaking son, I'm the speaking sister, her speaking son had the main stage. She flew in to be there to support him. And so we've had a chance to room together. Stephanie and I, man, when we take road trips, it's bananas. This last time we went on a road trip, I was sick. She could have been salty. We had tickets. I had paid for my ticket to go see Patti LaBelle. And I ended up sick as a dog. We were in Nashville, went to see my sister, and came back to the hotel, and I'm throwing up everywhere. So I didn't get to go to the concert. Stephanie gave me the blow by blow because she's shady like that. She's giving me the blow by blow, posting all the
I'll go live for you. I'll show you.
She went live for me a couple times. But anyway, and then like Dion, we had the best experience this past summer, y'all. Dion is a Prince fanatic. Okay, I've never known anyone who loves Prince like my special. So we got to go to Paisley Park. So picture for me seeing it through the eyes. I'm a fan. She's a fanatic. Seeing it through the eyes of someone who really, so it made it so special. And then after that, we did like a tour of the city and went to all the bootleg places. They've done memorials for Prince. It was crazy. And then like I had never really traveled other than Delta stuff with my girl Tracy. So last fall, we all got to go on a girls trip and we went away. I'm the non-drinker, but they will still tell you I still know how to have a good time as a non-drinker, but had a ball. I was like, yeah, I'm traveling with my co-chair again. This got to happen. So just those opportunities to be your authentic self, because when we're all away, I need to know that when I lay down my wall, whatever I do stays there. Yes, I reveal stays there. And by the way, do y'all shave your legs and your armpits?
I do. Let me tell you, in my family, hair doesn't grow. So I have to remind myself, is there some hair under there? Because it's been a minute I didn't even check.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Y'all, somebody dropped a serious question in the chat. And I'm going to ask it. They're on YouTube.
Okay.
I think this is one of my high school friends. Hey. Says, how do you get over a friend that broke the girlfriend code? Do you forget and leave them alone or continue to be friends?
I think it depends on, okay. So as a therapist, I do a lot of work with clients on boundaries and I have them do boundary circles. So I first have them define, how do you define friends, family, acquaintances, strangers, not textbook definition, your definition. And then from there, I have them plot out where people fall in their life. So for me, whether or not I'm going to repair the relationship depends on where you fall in my life. If I value the relationship, I'll put forth some effort to repair it. If I don't value the relationship, I'll let you go. Yeah. And I'll say, God bless.
Everybody else?
I think for me, it depends on the infraction. Depends on what you've done, but no matter what, the trust has been broken, and without some serious work, it can't be 100% repaired. So you may still stay in my circle, but I may be a little bit, back off a little bit. So it just depends. So I can be ugly sometimes.
I believe that. I've seen your claws.
Yeah, they can come out.
And I've seen us be petty. We're like, oh my God. Yeah.
But that's
I'm
the cool part, is that then I know that you won't go and talk about it to other people, because so many people think, like with us, having to be on stage all the time, that we are always up 100% and, happy. And there are times when I'm just a big hag, but I don't let a lot of people know that because, I don't feel safe.
Come on, safety.
And let's be real. A lot of times we can't let people know that because we make our living off of persona.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my big mantra is I'm fabulous in other people's lives, so.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so online they're saying, Felicia said she brings love, respect, and got your back. Felicia's one of my high school friends, y'all. We were a part of a group called Senior Buddies in high school. We're all still friends today. So you want to know, Mifflin High School representing up in the house. I see you, Felicia. Anita says fun stuff, makeup tips. Those are some of the things that she shares with her girlfriends. So when we think about this notion of sisterhood, I wanted to do this topic because there's so many myths about women not getting along and women not, being loyal, and people are petty and clawy and all that kind of stuff, the nails coming out and all that stuff that we hear and stereotypes. And I wanted women to really see, but also men to see that the perceptions that people characterize us with as women, first of all, it's insulting to assume that women can't be friends with other women. And second of all, it doesn't speak well to all of the experiences that we all know that we've had as sisters. I was thinking about it. Some of my friends that I invited on, one of my friends is a teacher. And I invited her just because I didn't want her to say, you did a show on girlfriends and you didn't invite me. I knew she wasn't going to come because she's deeply introverted. She doesn't do a whole lot of extroverted stuff. And so she said, I appreciate it so much that you invited me. And then I had a couple folks. My 2 cents couldn't come on. Everybody knows 2 of my roadies are Q and Shauna. Shauna and Q are my roadies. Neither one of them could come on tonight. But if we were all on, we would tell you, there's a spiritual side to us. When all hell is breaking loose, I count on my sayings to pray me through. Not talk me through, not gossip me through, to pray me through. So I've gotten that. When you got people, people talk about our sororities and all they have stereotypes. When I tell you some of the most godly women that I know are people I shared a line with, yeah, it's dope and it's deep for me. Those kinds of things. And so for me, like I said, whenever women say I don't have female friends, I always feel sorry for them. So we're getting close. What's a question that I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked you?
Well, I didn't get to answer question 4.
What was question 4?
What are the characteristics that you seek when choosing women to be a part of your sisterhood circle?
Okay.
So love, loyalty, trust, honesty, a desire to want to see me win, and comfort with telling me when I've messed up. And the last 2 are probably as important to me as loyalty and trust. A desire to want to see me win and comfort with telling me when I've messed up. And I think that goes back to sometimes as women, we can get in our own way. I value the relationships I have with my sisters that want to see me win. And because they want to see me win, they have absolutely no problem with sitting me down and telling me when I've messed up.
That's good. The rest of y'all, what didn't I ask you that you wish that I had?
I don't know. I think we really talked a lot.
Maybe, is there a true sister circle or sistership in the career workforce.
Ooh.
You know, we develop these relationships. We spend a majority of our time with the people that we work with. And is there true, authentic sistership and sisterhood in a career workforce to where you want to see that person thrive, to where you're not intimidated by their success, and you feel like they're going to outshine you, and like you said, there's room for all of us. And so is there truly a true authentic sistership and sisterhood in the career workforce?
Okay.
I have created it. I have created it.
People
Absolutely.
online, what say you, folks online? What do you think? Is there you all, if you're in the workplace, whatever that workplace is there true, genuine sisterhood in the workplace amongst women that where folks want to see you thrive and win?
I would agree with that, Stephanie. I have created my own, and I look at this
Yeah.
that I've created it for others, but is it always created for you, or people in higher positions feel like I'm not intimidated by you? I want to see you grow and thrive as well.
Tracy, I've had to create it for myself. Now, I've been blessed throughout the years to have wonderful supervisors, but just in general, even when I was in my 20s and in a whole different career, I was always intentional about building relationships and finding mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Harriet, what do you think? And let's look at our world. Is there genuine sisterhood in this world?
Very few.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
We're-
sad.
we are competition. If it's
Yeah.
between T and me, I'm not going to say, well, hire me instead of her, but I will never forget, I had one organization want to hire me, and then they called me back and said, well, we've gotten word that you don't show up for engagement sometimes. And what? And this came from a male speaker, that the meeting planner was talking to him and found out that it was another woman speaker that was wanting the gig, so I think sometimes there can be, but what I was thinking when I was a probation officer 100 years ago, I had two really good friends and I loved them, that we all worked together. But when one of them was up for a promotion, I remember thinking, if she's my boss, I will not stay in this position, because it would change our relationship. So while I was happy for her, at the same time, I was thinking, this dynamic I wouldn't be comfortable with. So I don't know. There.
Okay. That's honesty. If we're all telling the truth, that's real for a whole lot of people. D, what do you say about that one?
So I think it's interesting because I think some of it is also about the sector that you work in some way. So I think there's elements of some of the things that other people have said. I think that working in education, I've seen teachers or folks who are at the same level really form strong bonds at last year's. But I've also noticed that the higher the rank, if you will, that someone is, the fewer, the less of that there is, the fewer people that are around them in that way. And that probably goes back to some of the things that we've already talked about. So for myself, I do think it's possible, but I also think that it is like I would have to say not necessarily in the same company or in the same workspace. So we could be in the same field and create sisterhood, because I might use you as a sounding board. We might be in different geographical places in the same type of work. And so then there's less of, you're not in my backyard necessarily, and we can create bonds like that. I do. And so the last situation, I would say that there are a couple of folks I would say have built that with in the workplace, but we've had to be able to take our relationship outside of work environment and work topics and that. So if I'm with you and it always feels like we're in a meeting, then you know what I mean? We have to be able to have relationship outside and interests and things outside, but I also have to be able to trust you so that when we are at the meeting, you're not going to be like, yeah, remember last night and we was doing this and that yesterday. I want to show up at the meeting the next day and nobody would even know that we was hanging last night.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
yes.
depends on the person. You have to be able to build that trust. And I wouldn't say a lot of people probably, but a couple.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking something, and I saw it in the comments, somebody saying, how do you handle people who need that extra push, but that push starts to drain you? And I was thinking earlier when we were talking that if it becomes my responsibility to maintain this friendship, or if we always have to deal with your issue, then after a while, I'm just going to go away, because it's not a reciprocal friendship. It's
reciprocity.
Mhm.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity is important.
I'm singing Lauryn Hill. Tell me who I have to
That's
be
it.
to gain some
To gain some
reciprocity.
And it doesn't have to be equal, but it has to be equitable.
exactly.
You know, because everybody's personality types are different and how they express love. You know, their love language may be a little different, but yeah, if I'm always your go-to, but I can't go to you.
Ooh, yes, that's a word.
Yeah.
That, I mean, all of those things for me are they all ring true for me. I'm that person, you know, I want to hold you down, but dang, every now and then, if I'm holding you down all the time, who hold me down?
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, I need you to flip it and hold me down.
And you know those people, you see their number pop up on your phone, you be like, Lord, what now?
Yeah. Totally.
Can I just be real honest with you?
Am I gonna answer the phone?
Those people, I kind of like let them go by the wayside.
Yeah.
If that happens, if I start to feel a dread about you, generally I end the friendship, because I don't want to dread my friend.
But do you end it or do you take a break? Because sometimes people are just really struggling. You know, will you completely end the friendship or will you take a break?
It just depends. I mean, there's some folks I'm just like, really? Like I tell people all the time, there's some things when you're down, a weight has 3 purposes. It can hold you down during the storm, like an anchor, to keep you from blowing away. It can make you stronger if you lift it long enough. But if you're barely treading water and somebody hands you an anchor, it's going to take you under. For me, I have to ask myself, is today the day that I want to carry your weight? Sometimes your weight is too heavy for me to carry. I tell people all the time, I'm so grateful to God for therapy, because this last year I didn't burden my friends with my grief, because nobody want to hear that 24/7.
Well, let's talk about that. As a friend, I should be able to say to you, I don't have the capacity to give you what you need today. What I can do is pray for you, or I could refer you to a really good therapist. I know several.
So mine is, for me, I try to be the kind of friend that I want, and so I don't always want to carry everybody else's burdens, and that's real talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want some joy in friendships. If all the friendship is about me carrying your heavy load and you carrying my heavy load, is that friendship? Sometimes I want to celebrate. Sometimes I want to have a good time. I don't always want to feel like this is a burden that we are all carrying. Yes, I'm willing. If I love you like a fat kid loves cake, I'm more than willing to carry your burden. But next week, can I carry your bags as we go on vacation?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it can't always be this other side, because there's some people who drain you, Tia, because, like you said, they're always looking for the extra push. I'm like, dude, how many times can I tell you that you are worthy?
I know that's right.
I can't make you believe what you just refuse to believe. I tell you what I see. If you don't believe that, me telling you 10 more times,
I know that's right.
I'm practicing insanity.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing over and over, and it's not producing the result in my life or yours. So for me, sometimes, Steph, I'm sometimes I think I better let it go.
Well, maybe that comes with age. As we get older, you know, it's like, do we even have the capacity?
I was doing that at 30.
Oh, okay.
I'm really clear. I'm the person, as much as I'm open in my professional life, I'm very open, but in my personal life, I'm not. And so I'm very good at setting boundaries. And when I realize that you're not a person who respects those boundaries, I'm good.
Yes.
And a part of friendship is respecting each other's boundaries.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And I consider myself really good at setting boundaries, but I don't mind moving somebody from the friendship to the acquaintance circle.
I tell them, you're no
Sometimes
longer
I
in
won't
the
totally cut them
relationship.
off. Look, I won't totally cut them off, but I'll just, slide them on over to the acquaintance circle.
Yeah, and when you start to see, somebody said it earlier, I think it was Tracy, she was like, she sits back and watch.
Yeah.
I'm that person.
Right.
If I'm always cheering you and something good is happening to me, and I start to notice you'll never cheer me on,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm your cheerleader, but you my hater secretly.
Yeah.
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 And I don't have the energy to move you to the acquaintance section. I mean, life is too short. Just okay, we just got to move on.
I like it, Tracy.
See, there's a lot of energy.
Tracy was like,
Life is too short. I don't have the energy for it.
See, that's why you look so young and youthful. You don't let people stress you out.
One of the things that I learned, one of the things that Dion taught me years ago is you get to choose. You know who people are. You can choose to deal or you're not. But don't keep whining and complaining about something when you know who they are.
I love it.
Stop
Who
it.
said that earlier? When people
Dr.
show
Dion,
you who they are.
Dion told me that years ago. You already knew that. Why you tripping over it? You already knew that. Stop it. Okay.
Yeah. I think you have to go through a lot of that before you actually learn it and then start to practice it. Because you keep, or at least for me, you keep giving people the benefit of the doubt, or you don't want to cut off people, and then after a while, you're just like, go.
But I will also say, because what T said reminded me of this, is that there are some people in your life that are in your life almost because of other people. Like there are some people you're not going to be able to remove, no matter how you feel about it. They are there by one circumstance or another. So you have to learn the coping skills of, okay, so if I'm going to interact with so-and-so today, what is that going to look like? How can I allow that person to be themselves, but still hold my boundaries? It's a constant dance. So Harriet, to you, kind of to your point, we have to sometimes do that. And hopefully we don't all have a lot of those people in our life, but it's always one that you like, okay, got to get geared up for so-and-so.
That's true.
You do. I mean, because what's interesting is when you have sister circles, everybody in your sister circle ain't necessarily in each other's sister circle.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you bring all that energy together in a room, you're like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
LORDT. Oh Lord. And you never know what you're gonna get. That's that box of chocolates. You're like, what's up? So okay, on the way out, what's one piece of advice you would like to give the audience about the value of sisterhood?
So I would say in general, my favorite scripture is 1 Corinthians 13:4-8. Love is patient, love is kind. You guys familiar with that? I just say in general in life, when you're trying to build relationships and sisterhoods, look for people who have that spirit, and please be sure you have it, because I think sometimes our friends groups can be a reflection of what's going on inside of us. But yeah, I think you just go through life looking for good people.
Okay.
I think there are seasons sometimes where people are in your life for a season, for a reason, and then it's okay to let them go, or if they just walk away, or it's time for you to walk away. I mean, I've been thinking the whole time we've been talking, I've got different circles of sisters.
Yep.
And they'll never meet.
I like that.
Yeah. I think I would throw in there that because we've been talking about sisterhood, sometimes that we end up instead talking about friendship, and to me sisterhood is it's deeper than just friendship. And so if you have women in your life who you do consider family, sisterhood in that way, you always have to remember to nurture that, because it doesn't happen by accident, and it doesn't stay strong and healthy just by osmosis. So we have to work at making sure that we keep the life and energy and the love in those relationships.
I love that.
Co-chair.
Wow, that's a good loaded question. As we've been talking this evening and you asked us that question, you don't get to choose your family, but you get to choose your sisters, your friends. And I say, value the relationships that you have with people. Make sure that they are true and authentic and that they bring value to your life. Because you don't want to spend time with people that are sucking the energy and life out of you, to where it's not bringing you any value anymore. So, you get to choose this sister circle that you have, and you have pockets of the sister circle. And I just say, make sure that it brings you the value and joy that you deserve in your life, and that you pour that same value and joy into their lives as well.
I like it.
Charlene says, good point. Coping skills are important in sisterhood. Shirley says, keeping boundaries for yourself is very important for you. And all the things that you all say, I echo all the sentiments that every single one of you have said. And I know that when I think about sisterhood, most people know that even Harriet was a tri-delt. Most of us are members of Greek organizations. Three of us, the four of us are clearly part of the Divine Nine, and Harriet was a tri-delt. And when people ask me all the time, I remember when I crossed Delta, my mom was super surprised. She said, "You're not a joiner, and you don't particularly care to hang out with a bunch of women." So I was very surprised, and I said, "I get something else from Delta." And so one of the things that Delta has given me as a sisterhood, and I don't always like all my sorors. I love them to pieces, but I don't always like them, and they don't always like me. But one of the things, I've grown as a person because what I've learned to see is the value in what they bring to the table. And so sometimes you get to work alongside people who in your regular life, they're not my friends outside of the sorority, but what we all bring in my sorority is a commitment to service. So when we're serving beside each other, we put those other things that we may or may not like about each other on the side burner, because the mission of what we came to do is bigger than each of us as individuals. And so for me, that's what sisterhood in my sorority and Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated. And yes, Stephanie is a member of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority incorporated.
Last created, best designed.
Here we
go. And so when we think about all these things, for me, sisterhood is one of the most powerful forces on the earth. And I'm going to close tonight with an Audrey Lorde poem, which really explains why I love being a part of all of your lives as your sister, and having you as a part of mine. We have chosen each other and the edge of each other's battles. The war is the same. If we lose, someday women's blood will congeal upon a dead planet. But if we win, there is no telling, for we seek beyond history for a new and more possible meeting. Everybody, as we close tonight, can you all put some chat in the chat? Can you shout out my guests who gave up their time tonight? Dr. Dion Bluge, Tracy E. Colson, Stephanie Starks of Starks Counseling, and my good friend and speaking mentor and friend, Harriet Turk. Can you all just thank them tonight for giving up their time and being willing to be vulnerable and come on and talk to you about the realness of what sisterhood is and is not. And I close the way that I always do, by saying I'm the amazing T Street, but I can assure you there is absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. And as we close out Sisterhood Month, I charge and challenge you to go and walk in your own amazing. You guys, thank you so much. All my guests, thank you for coming on and being a part of it. Oh, I forgot, I got to give away the gift. Hang on, let me text her and ask her real quick who won the gift. Hang on, I don't, it doesn't come to me, so I'm texting. I texted early and I didn't click over. Lisa Straughter.
Lisa, my special.
Lisa Straughter, you are the winner of the gold
Sigma Gamma Rho.
You are the winner. Now. Next week, I'm not going to be on because I will be traveling. I'm in New York next Wednesday. And I can assure you, I'm going to see Ntozake Shange's Color Girls on Broadway, so I won't be on here with y'all.
Oh, that's so dope.
Nice.
And then I'll be speaking the next day. But so I'm going to skip next week. But the week after that, I'm going to come on, and the gift that I'm going to give is the VIP ticket, which by the way, that's $115 ticket to
Ooh.
the HBCU Classic. I want to support the Classic. And so thank you to my soror Gwen for the donation of tonight's ticket. In 2 weeks, I will donate the other ticket. So you guys have an amazing evening. All my guests, talk to you soon.
Thank
We'll see you in
you.
2 weeks for
Thanks.
Coffee with Tea.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Cece.
much.
See
Thanks,
ya.
guys.
Yeah.
Bye.